So, yes, I mean, we've all been hearing the word server side, serverless, right? I believe it's time to allow our expert here, shed more light into what it actually means, what we mean by serverless and server side, right? What it means to actually be deployed on a server side infra and what it means to be deployed on a serverless infra. Thank you. Jeremy, please, you can go on.
Yeah, sure. I mean, at the end of the day, everything's on a server, right? So, I mean, everything's running on a server. It's just really, are you managing that server or is somebody managing it on your behalf? So, as a proponent on team server side, I don't think that either way is the correct way all the time. It really depends on where you're in your startup journey and what's going to net you the best benefit. If you're very early, you're iterating, you're doing a lot of R&D, you feel like a serverless approach might be the best way for you to get started, by all means. What's great about technology today is that you can go back and forth between these two technologies when it makes most sense for you. So whatever you're most comfortable with from your development perspective, and then ultimately cost. As you grow and scale, there are inflection points, and I think growth is one of those inflection points where you say, hey, I'm receiving too much steady state traffic all the time. And that's kind of when maybe the scales tip towards a server side approach versus serverless. But, both very viable options. I just think it's, how much control do you want? How much do you want to own and manage? And what level of scale are you at any given time?
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. I mean, what you said makes a lot of sense, right? It varies because, I mean, it depends on what you're building and the kind of requirements it needs to meet as well. So yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, team serverless. That's Larry and Victor. So yeah, on to the question. So I think I will start with Victor and then we end with Larry. Thank you.
Okay. Um, so speaking on serverless, pretty much, just as Jeremy has described here, it depends on what you want to achieve. But as you'd come to find out that serverless architecture would pretty much allows you an easier entry point. Basically, at the end of the day, everything still runs on servers, but with serverless, you are pretty much more focused on your products itself. And a number of technicalities that you have to deal with, you really don't have to, and you also end up paying less. So pretty much you would want to pick serverless if you're starting out and you don't have too much problems at hand. But most times you get to a point as you grow and you scale, you realize that serverless 2 is not all that glitters. It still has its own problems.
Okay. I was going to come for you. I was going to come right at you.
I'm ready, don't worry.
but then that was a good one. That was a good one. So thank you, Elaine.
Okay, I think for my end, I am from a standpoint where there are sometimes where you need server and serverless. So for example, there are some kind of products, right, where or teams that do a lot of dedication on the product they are building and they don't really want to care about the engineering side of things, right? That's where most of their options become a serverless, right? Where automatic scaling can happen depending on the traffic that they have on that particular product, right? But if it's server side, let's say you are just a developer trying to manage one or two things, right? Maybe and also try to manage costs. You'd want to go with the server side option. Okay, you already have a predefined number of CPU requirements, memory requirements, and storage requirements, and it will not go past the certain threshold, right? But you also realize that as your users also go like increase more and more and more and more, there's a lot of demand on your server, right? And you also need contingency plans and also ways to also manage what you already have at the beginning, right? There's some downsides with serverless, right? Where you can see people getting like complaining about ridiculous bills. Okay, why do I have $50,000 charge on my card because of probably a DDoS attack where there was a lot of like requests on a particular server or just something random, right? Out of maybe let's say a MongoDB instance running and you have a lot of database queries, right? So the more queries you have, the more bill you get to pay at the end of the day, right? So I feel serverless comes with extra efforts in terms of managing how you want to control your pricing, right? Before you have cases where you have to spend a lot of money, right? Yeah, that's my general concept on how I see server side and serverless.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that elaborative